Hello and welcome to the Smart Beauty Podcast. I'm your host, Viola Levy, beauty journalist and founder of copy-led branding agency Smart Beauty Creative. Welcome to today's episode where I'm chatting with Roxie Nafousi, celebrated author, fellow podcaster and manifestation coach who has recently branched out into fragrance with her new brand Alia. She was very honest about how challenging it's been, going from writing books to creating an actual physical product. We also touched on her love of fragrance and how it enables her to express different sides of herself. And we chatted a bit about manifestation and why it's so important to believe yourself worthy of what it is that you're actually trying to manifest. It's all about personal transformation, which regular listeners will know that's a huge focus of mine. Chatting with Roxie, it seemed to me that the perfume range is her way of coming home to herself, in particular celebrating and reclaiming her Middle Eastern heritage, having endured a lot of racist bullying at school growing up in the UK. I really admire the fact that this perfume range is a way of celebrating the fact that she is a proud Arab woman. What I also admire is that I think anyone who builds a business as a single mum has my utmost respect, because as somebody who's also in that position, you are doing it with kind of half the resources and twice the stress. And it's something that often gets overlooked. That's why I really love Roxie's fragrance powerhouse, because it has this kind of A-team of empowering scent notes of like tobacco and oud and cardamom. And there are loads of us that just need that, need that kind of fragrant pick-me-up. I think perfume gives us that ability to just feel good about ourselves. And sometimes it can just give us that little boost when we don't have the time or resources to do like a full-on glam look every single day. Alia is a beautiful example of that. Anyway, really enjoyed this chat. Here's Roxie. Roxie, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Really looking forward to chatting with you today, and congratulations on launching your first fragrance line. You've built your career around manifestation and self-development, but what was the moment that you realised fragrance could be a manifestation tool rather than just a beauty product?
I think I've always used fragrance myself as part of a ritual that helps me to step into the character of who I want to become, which really is kind of at the heart of manifestation. And so I don't remember if there was like one particular point where I kind of realized, but it was more that it was something I had done in my own life organically, and then thought, hey, how can I bring this to the world? And I suppose that's exactly what happened with my books, is that I kind of tried something on myself, it worked, and then I thought, oh, let me share this. So yeah, I suppose it really came from that.
And I think fragrance, because it can sort of connect with us on such a primitive level, I think that's what, I don't know if you agree, makes it so significant when it comes to manifestation, because I personally find that I can sort of think about things consciously, but I can't really get my sort of subconscious to really catch up and really believe that those things are going to happen. So I feel like with fragrance, that can be a tool to help kind of bridge that gap. Would you say that resonates with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think scent and smell in general sort of bypasses some of the neural pathways in a way, and there's a more kind of subconscious and automatic response or feeling that is evoked from it. And so it doesn't require that thought, it just can instantly create a feeling within you. And so I think that there are certain fragrances that I've used throughout my life where as soon as I spray it, I feel a certain way, whether that's I feel empowered, I feel sexy, I feel cool, and I think that's why when I launched Alia, I really wanted to create something that allowed people to step into different versions of themselves, but I'm sure we'll get into that later.
No, for sure. I mean, it was a huge pivot moving from the books and the coaching into a physical product. How has that journey been for you, and what made you feel like, okay, like it's a good time to sort of expand into the fragrance space in particular?
I have found it so unbelievably challenging, is the
Mm,
truth. I think that Creating books is such a different experience. And in a lot of the work I do, it really just requires me to be there. And whether I'm speaking on stage or I'm coaching or I'm hosting for a brand or writing books, I have quite a lot of control over that. And so
Mm,
I can determine the outcome and how it's going to go. And with books, you put in lots of effort. You work really hard at creating something. And then once it's created and you've launched it, you give it to the world, and then the
mm,
world takes it and it just does its thing. And you almost let it go. And it's kind of this magical thing. This is so different because, firstly, it's not a lot of it hasn't been in my control. Production
mm,
issues, operations have been so unbelievably stressful. And I really, truly just wasn't prepared for that, I don't think. I think that I almost got, and I'm always really honest. So I'm not even going to say, like, oh, yeah, and I've nailed it. I wasn't prepared. I think I was naively thought it was going to be really simple because I've built another business and that's been successful.
mm.
But it's not the same. And there's lots more moving parts, and it's a lot more a lot more investment
Definitely.
financially, mentally. And I was doing it basically all on my own. So I was learning all about operations and shipments and fulfillment and in a kind of like, yeah, very quickly. But that aside, the kind of side of operations and production, which is very different and more challenging, the creative side of it really is much the same. When I create a book, I really think first about the person reading it or the person experiencing the fragrance. And that's where I start from. How do I want this woman or man, but usually women, how do I want these women to feel? How do they want to feel them in themselves? How do I want them to then walk into a room? How do I want it to impact their lives? And I start with that. And then I create a world around it that they can enter. And
Mm,
so, whether it's my manifestation as a brand, or it's Alia, it's really important to me that there is a really distinctive brand voice, world, a feeling of community, something that feels aspirational and attainable at the same time. And so, in that sense of it, actually, that was the bit that I have enjoyed the most, which is creating the Alia identity.
mm. And I love how intertwined it is with your culture because obviously it means rise higher in Arabic, for those who don't know. Can you talk us through how you landed upon the name and sort of how your sort of Iraqi heritage was woven into sort of the blueprint of the brand?
Yeah, so it was two things. I mean, one was that I really wanted a four-letter word because
Mm.
from a brand perspective, apparently a really great thing to do.
Oh,
I'd read
really?
it somewhere. Yeah, like
Is that just purely for saving
road,
space
food.
or?
Yeah, apparently it's just a four-letter word is strong. Oh no, wait, is road? No, forget that. Cancel that bit. I wanted a short single word.
Mm,
So in terms of like, manifest, confidence, I wanted it to be one word. So I knew that. And then I wanted it to be a word that was meaningful to me. And a big part of my whole journey is that when I was younger, my real name is Rowan. And I had changed my name from Rowan to Roxy because I was kind of rejecting my own culture, my own heritage, because I was so badly bullied for being Iraqi, in a time where Islamophobia was really kind of prevalent. And a lot of my own journey has been about this return to who I was and really being proud of who I am. And being proud now, I mean, I couldn't be prouder of my culture and where I'm from and being Iraqi and being a strong Arab woman. And I think that for me, it was really important that as I am embracing my own, all that I am, where I'm from, being more authentic, I wanted to choose a name that was rooted in my culture to really like mirror that feeling and represent that.
mm,
And when I came across the name Alia, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's beautiful. And the meaning to rise higher is just so, it just encapsulates what this brand is really about. And then after I picked the name, I told my mum. She said, "Oh my God, my mum! It was my mum's favorite name because one of the kings of Iraq, his wife was Alia."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Is it a
that took.
common name in that region? Do you know?
Yeah, yeah.
That's beautiful.
Mm.
And obviously your heritage is part of your identity, but it's not, your full identity. And I think that sort of weaves into the collection on the idea that we're multifaceted. I mean, how
Mm.
did that philosophy sort of connect to what you wrote about in your books?
So I have actually in Confidence, Eight Steps to Knowing Your Worth, I have a chapter all about celebrating yourself. And within that, I talk about owning your slash, which is like we're in the era of the slash. I actually just wrote an article that's coming out today for E72 about the same thing, which is like we are all multifaceted humans. And I think that we're in this modern day age where we're owning the ability to be more than one thing. You can be like an actor slash DJ or a writer slash artist or and I think that
Yeah.
before there was a lot of fear and trepidation that came with that because as you kind of, it's quite easy to be labeled with by one thing, firstly,
Mm.
but then as you get older, there's this fear of like, oh God, if I change careers, will people think I'm a failure, I'm flaky, or if I start a podcast, have I had a midlife crisis? Or, there's all this fear of like, how can I express all these different sides of myself that I want to express? And if I do, will I be judged? And what I'm really trying to encourage people to do is to recognize that actually true confidence is really recognizing that we are all many things and they all deserve to be seen and celebrated and loved. And as a woman, I find that there are sort of there are many sides of me, but there were three in particular that I felt were really kind of distinct that I thought that many women could relate to. So one is the kind of everyday you, the you that's not trying to impress anyone, just so comfortable in your own skin. Perhaps it's the
Mm.
you going to get your coffee in the morning and romanticizing your life, or taking your kids to school, but feeling just so confident and present and grounded in who you are. And that for me was the basis of the first fragrance, which is main character. The second character is powerhouse. That for me is the me that's going into meetings, that's, being my own agent, that's um, hoping to inspire and lead in a positive way. And it's really for any woman that wants to feel like they can take ownership of their life, that they can step in their power, call the shots. And that scent is the more masculine of the three scents. It's tobacco, oud, and not that it's masculine, but masculine in its energy. It's
Mm.
more of that. And then scene stealer is for when we want to be sensual, feminine, sexy. I struggled a lot with this kind of battle of, well, I'm in self-development, so are people going to judge me if I dress sexy? And then I was like, what? Like, no, I need to be able to express that side of me. I'm a
Exactly.
young woman and
Mm.
I want to enjoy my sensuality. And so Scene Stealer is more feminine in scent. It's a little bit sweeter, but it's definitely not sweet.
Mm.
It's not like overpowering. And yeah, so that's them.
And it's brilliant. I think, you talk about how fragrance boosts your mood. And what I love about it is that it doesn't really matter. It's not about what you look like with fragrance. It is all about how you feel. How do you use scent, if you do like intentionally in your own kind of manifestation routines?
So I have provided like affirmations with each scent actually. So you say it as you spray it because it's what I do. So as I say an affirmation, I spray my scent. And then what you're doing is you're creating like a neural pathway, like a connection. So as soon as you spray it, you can embody that affirmation. And so that's how I do it. So I either say an affirmation or I just really visualize like as I spray and then I take in this scent, like, who am I going to be today? Like, what
Mm.
character do I want to step into? What side of myself do I want to express?
Yeah, that's beautiful. And sort of going back to the whole kind of creation process, because you had the sort of the three characters in mind. I mean, were they sort of at the beginning, or was it as you were kind of developing the fragrances they presented themselves, or you
No,
always
it
like these are the three archetypes that I want to express?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was definitely all at the same time. Like I knew I wanted to have different characters and I
Mm,
knew I wanted a really distinct scents. Like the three scents are very different from each other. They're also all like eau de parfum 22%. They're incredibly high quality, long lasting, rich. They're beautiful scents. And main character is definitely like I would say the hero scent. It's a scent that I've never smelled before. Like the minute I went into the sampling house, the perfume house, and sampled this scent, I was like, oh my God, like what is it? I couldn't stop wearing it. Like I
mm.
was so obsessed with it. And actually everyone that smells it is like, oh my God, like I can't describe how good it smells. But I mean, they're all amazing and unique. But yeah, I think once I smelt them, I knew I wanted one that was more tobacco-y and oody, and I knew I wanted one that was slightly sweeter and more sensual. And I knew I wanted one that was slightly had that more fresh and a touch of floral, but I'm not really a floral fragrance gal, so it was only a hint of it. So I knew that, and then the honestly the characters just fit so perfectly with each. It was like it was just so aligned. It just happened.
Because the language of perfume, it's obviously its own kind of world in itself. How did you find that creation process, and did you go through a lot of different iterations when you were working on the fragrance?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I think I must have trialed like 100 different scents. Yeah, because we'd find something I'd nearly like. The only one I never resampled was main character. Like the minute that was in my first sampling round, and the
Mm.
first it was just an instant yes. The others, it would be like we'd try, so many, and then I'd choose my favorites, and then I'd get as many, 5 to 10 iterations of that, and then tweak what I think it would need more or less of. So yeah, it was honestly so fun. Picking and designing the fragrance was incredible experience. I loved it.
I can
And I
imagine.
had all my team there, and we had it like I would keep getting my friends and family to smell it, to test it, to tell me what they thought as well. So that was really fun.
And did you have any ingredients in mind from the get-go? Because I know main character that has turmeric leaf and angelica root, so they're not very common notes. I mean, what
No,
drew you
they're
to
not
them?
at all. No, they're not. Honestly, as I said, as soon as I was presented that fragrance as, look, here's one that we've been trying out. And I was like, oh my God, I need it. It's just
Mm.
incredible. So that was really like, and it is like, it's very unusual in terms of its notes, the ambroxan, like I've never kind of come across or but then there's the mimosa, which I do like, orange blossom, the tonka. I mean, it's just such a great combination of notes. Powerhouse, I was really clear. I knew I wanted one that had tobacco in it, oud, musk, amber, cedarwood, cardamom. It's a beautiful mix of like all the scent notes that I already loved in other fragrances that wanted to be brought together. And then similarly with Scene Stealer, I wanted something that had, bergamot is a note that I just absolutely love, patchouli, musk, jasmine. I wanted those kind of rich,
Mm.
gorgeous, sensual smells. But I was really important to me that it wasn't overpowering. I really don't like super sweet perfumes. I think it
No, me neither.
feels a bit cheap, if I could say.
No, for sure. And I think that sort of the way sort of, going back to scene steer and what you were saying about taking ownership of your like sensuality and expressing that side of yourself. Do you think that the perfumes we wear are kind of changing in that respect? Because as you know, like around like 10 or so years ago, the sort of quote unquote sexy perfumes were quite sugary and floral and sickly. Because I think it was, very much kind of seen through the male gaze because there was sort of, a lot of them were developed for women to attract, heterosexual women to attract men. And now it's more about ownership, isn't it? And just expressing that side of ourselves without necessarily, luring someone in. I mean, do you
Yes,
think
that's
that
so
perfume has
true.
changed to reflect that?
Yeah, that's so true. I
Mm.
actually hadn't even thought about that, but that's absolutely it. And I think that in general, I think we've seen a shift like that in all areas, whether it's like fashion. I actually saw Olivia Atwood do this interview recently in New York where they were like, what's your dressing tip or something? And she said, dress for the girls and the gays. don't dress for the guys. And then and I was
Wise
like, oh
words.
my God, it's so true.
It's so true. I went to a girls' school and I still wore like got well as much as we were allowed to, but wore makeup and got dressed up because it was just made me feel good. And I think
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
have you ever worn like a signature perfume or have you always sort of believed in this idea of the scent wardrobe and sort of because I'm very much a fan of the latter. I think that you wouldn't wear the same clothes every day, so why would you wear the
Yeah.
same fragrance?
Yeah,
Would
I've
you agree?
always changed fragrances. I have like 15 fragrances probably and have always changed them throughout my life. I've never had sort of one that I've stuck to.
Mm.
So yeah, I think it wasn't even a question for me to bring out just one fragrance because I don't want to wear just one. Also because you get nose blind. So like if you wear just one, you can't smell it on yourself anymore, which I hate. I want
Yeah.
to be able to smell myself as well.
I know it's true. And then the more you apply it, the more your brain's like, it's okay, we know what that is. We're just going to shut down and not smell it anymore, which
Exactly.
is really
Exactly.
frustrating. What was the thing about this whole journey that surprised you the most or challenged you the most, would you say? Because you were mentioning how kind of it was, at times I imagine very chaotic. What
Yeah.
really sort of stood out to you and what would you maybe do differently?
I think just really understanding the like production,
Mm,
timeline, shipping, all of that is like is a challenge. That was the most challenging thing. Like even and it's just been. I mean, there were things like, for example, was desperate to actually make all the bottles dark brown. So we tried loads of different dark brown bottles, and the gradient wasn't right, the color wasn't right. So I said, okay, can we just make the oil itself brown? And they're like, yeah, yeah, no problem. So I had this sesame oil from Sainsbury's in my cupboard and I put it in one of the bottles and I was like, oh my God, it's the perfect color. So we
mm,
used sesame oil as the basis for the color of the fragrance. We tried a few different ones and eventually we got the perfect color. And I was like, oh my God, I'm thrilled. It's been taking weeks. Got it. They were like, great, we're going to start filling it. Then they sent it to me and then the smell was off. And I was like, well, what's happened in the dyeing process? Somehow the smell has changed. Anyway, they fixed it, corrected it. The day
brilliant.
before the campaign shoot, they were like, just so you know, just make sure you put a warning on the website that the brown will stain clothes. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
what? And I was like, well, I can't sell a product that's going to stain people's clothes.
Yeah. No
And
one
I
wants brown stains on their clothes. I mean,
no. So I was
yeah.
like, fuck. So we had to like completely pivot, get rid of this. But I had the campaign shoot the next day, and I only had one sample of each bottle because there were so many delays. I had only one lid, one bottle, one sample, and they had to break. They had like open without breaking the glass to get rid of the sesame oil so I could shoot
Mm,
with clear water instead. I mean, it was just all these little things that were just stress that I wasn't prepared for. But
yeah.
it all was fine in the end, as always.
And like me, you're a working single mum, and I feel like being a single mum and an entrepreneur, it should be an extreme sport, to be
Yeah,
honest. I think.
correct.
And I imagine, as I do, you get very overwhelmed. And I imagine that, your manifestation background is, a huge benefit where that's concerned. I mean, I feel like I'm in a bit of a rut with my manifestation practice at the moment, just because it's just really
Yeah.
hard to get just to get your subconscious to catch up with what you're telling yourself. I mean, what do you do in those kind of moments where some mornings you might think, oh, what am I doing this for? Or this is all too much. How do you get your groove back, so to speak?
I definitely have had those mornings
Mm,
and I can definitely relate. And I think most people can. I think that first, for me, it's like being really compassionate about to myself about it. And I just find that sometimes if I'm in that kind of rut, I can start spiraling with like self-judgment and
yeah.
actually just being like, of course you feel like this. You're exhausted, you're overworked, you're stressed, you've invested a lot, whatever it is, it's okay that you feel like this. And then you don't attach so much meaning to it. And
Mm,
then it's just like, yeah, it's inevitable you're going to feel like this sometimes. And then just let's just wait for that feeling to pass because all feelings pass.
mm,
And what are the things that you can ground yourself in today that might make you feel better? Whether it's a walk, being completely present with my son and turning my phone off, you know, exercise, good food. I can get really caught up in like work and wolf and I never see my friends. And like the other night I had three of my friends over for dinner, and you're forced to just chat shit, not think
Yeah,
about work, not think about responsibility. I got them over here, so Wolf was in bed. I didn't need a babysitter, and it was heaven. And I was like, oh God, I actually sometimes we need to remind ourselves we need to do more of that, and it's so easy to forget.
for sure. And I really love your emphasis on gratitude in your book. I listen to the audio book because I have a toddler, so that's
Yeah.
the only way I can get my reading in.
Yeah.
Because I think gratitude, it's like evidence gathering, really, isn't it?
Yes. Oh my God, absolutely. Honestly, it's like always think gratitude is like the quickest, safest, easiest way to change your life.
Mm.
Like it really is. I think there's not much that can't be made better when you start developing an attitude of gratitude
No,
because
for
it
sure.
shifts your perspective on everything.
Mm. Yeah, I think it can be just so hard to sort of get your brain to tap into that frequency sometimes when you have those negative voices, isn't it? It can be a bit
Yeah.
of an uphill struggle at times, but
That's why it's really good to do it written. So like force
mm,
yourself, like because to just stop and think about it sometimes is hard because our subconscious is actually so comfortable with the inner critic. And so actually just sitting yourself down and being like, right, I'm gonna write 10 things, small good things that happened today, like my morning coffee or, waking up to my son or so, whatever it is. And then it can be, bigger things as well, of course, but just
mm.
find 10 small things and just allow it to just like reset you and really be present while you're doing that exercise. Really pay attention to the feeling of gratitude.
And I think having kids or being around kids, if you don't have them yourself, I think that's, it's a lovely way of kind of seeing the world from their perspective because they just find everything so awesome.
Oh,
And,
it's amazing.
you
It
get
really
to
is.
really appreciate those little moments where they're just having, the time of their life watching Mary Poppins or something like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you feel that as somebody who's built a personal brand around manifesting, there's this pressure to have your life, like, have your shit together, basically, and yeah, especially imagine when building the brand is concerned. I mean, how do you
Yeah.
deal with that?
No, I don't because I think part of why I've connected with my audience is because I'm so honest
Mm,
and I'm not trying to pretend that I'm perfect or that my life is perfect. I mean, my life is, I love my life and it's immeasurably better than it ever was. And I'm so proud of the person I am and the life I've created. But that doesn't mean I don't have challenges or struggles or, things that might not
mm,
be going right at the time, but I'm never defeated because I have manifestation behind me and I know that things are happening the way they're supposed to. And I think that I always try to be very honest and open because I think that people will be more helped in my vulnerability than in me portraying a perfect life.
mm. Because I think people have a lot of misconceptions around manifestation. They think it's just writing a shopping list and then
Exactly.
expecting
Yeah.
it all to be delivered. But I think it's a lot to be said for like actually understanding who you are as a person first and foremost and what you actually need
100%.
rather than, yeah, I need X, Y, and Z and all these kind of material things or like, yeah, this sort of picture perfect life that might not actually be that fulfilling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm. And your books have obviously helped thousands of people with transforming their mindset. How do you sort of see Alia as complementing that or reaching people that might not have discovered your books yet?
Yeah, I think it really is sort of an expansion of the work I already do in terms of helping people to feel empowered, to step into their future self. It's just in a ritual form rather than reading. And
Mm.
so it's sort of just like I use affirmations in the morning to help me, you can also use fragrance. So I feel like it's a really natural extension.
And are there any more fragrances on the horizon, or are you just going to focus on the three of these for now and like other projects that you've got going on?
We'll definitely want to expand into other products, but for now, we're going to really focus on these three scents. And,
Mm.
we definitely noticed that with fragrance, people really want to smell it before they purchase. So we're trying to figure out ways we can really get people trying it, community events, and yeah, I actually just can't wait for people to get it in their hands, which is hopefully this week, end of this week.
And obviously, it's a very sort of saturated space. I mean, what sort of made you think, okay, this is our point of difference, and this is what makes it unique?
I think one of the points of difference is probably the price point.
Mm.
It's £60 for 30 ml, which is far under most luxury
Yes,
brands.
given the concentration, that's
Given the concentration, yeah, the quality of the bottles. I mean, they're beautiful, like the wooden lids, the resin. So the packaging is gorgeous. So the price point is really big for me, I think, in terms of a USP. And the reason I went with that is because I think all my work is around being aspirational, but also relatable. And I think and accessible. And just in the same way, or that's my messaging, I suppose, around manifestation and self-development and everything. And so I really wanted that to be mirrored in this. And I don't not, it's not about huge profit margins. I do want to give people a product that they can have, and have as many people as possible be able to have it. And I think the character and storytelling is really distinct. And the ritual around it with affirmations is something really unique. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Did you feel any pressure? Because I imagine with a lot of founders, there's people talk about, factoring in like margins and things like that, or were you just very sort of set on, no, it has to be accessible?
Yeah, I think I wanted it to be accessible
Mm.
100%. And I think that's the beauty of having your own brand is you can make your own decisions.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
was nice.
The buck stops with you, which is very stressful, but it has its benefits, like you say.
Yes, it does. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
when you look back on your whole journey from when you started to sort of become a best-selling author and now a fragrance founder, what do you
Mm.
think's been like the biggest lesson about manifestation that you've actually lived yourself?
Oh. I think the biggest lesson of manifesting is always that we can only manifest what we believe we're worthy of receiving. And so,
Mm,
even, and that's ongoing. I think even now there are things that I might want to manifest, but I know that I still have so much doubt surrounding it that I need to heal. And so I can really recognize that there is always things to work on within yourself so that you really can flourish and unlock your fullest potential.
definitely. And what's next for you? Are there any sort of, as you say, you're going to focus on these three scents for now, and then you hopefully kind of expand into other categories. So can you see yourself being sort of a beauty mogul in years to come?
Who knows? I hope so. I mean, I'm really excited to see what comes with Alia. I'm also writing a new book, which will be out next year, which I don't think I've shared yet, but I'm excited about that. I still love writing and talking, and it's just nice to have a new creative outlet that as well. So keep moving forward and see what happens.
For sure. Well, Roxy, it's been so lovely chatting with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be
Oh,
in your
thank you
podcast.
so much. No, I'm so grateful.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. All links will be in the show notes, and feel free to visit smartbeautycreative.com or visit us over on Instagram to find out more about what we do. And if you enjoyed listening, please don't forget to rate and review Smart Beauty on iTunes, as it helps people find us. See you next time.